How are you, Reg?
I am doing great. Happy holidays, Theodore. And also part of that game is the retirement of the number 32 of our beloved Shaquille O'Neal by the Miami Heat. So that's going to be an extra plus for that Lakers Heat game, as well as Shaq joining Kevin Harlan and myself actually calling the game. So we'll get a lot of, they got to throw the ball down to the big man. They got to get Hassan Whiteside. He's going to get more the big man. Just got to get touches. So we'll get a lot of that for the game on Thursday.
Dan Patrick, shut the hell up. Are you? Is there any?
Patrick, you don't know what you're talking about.
Is there anybody bigger than Shaq?
Yes, and it's funny you say that. When we were on stage for the retirement ceremony for Yao and Shaq's class, because they went in together, Yao towers over Shaq, much bigger than Shaquille O'Neal. I thought Shaq was the biggest man on the planet, and he's the second biggest. Yao towers over Shaq, if you can believe that or not.
If Yao had...
And both ways, tower tall and tower wide.
If Yao had stayed healthy, finish that sentence.
Oof. You know, there's a lot of big men that we could say that question to. If Bill Walton, who's a Hall of Famer, would have stayed healthy, you know, if Yao would have stayed healthy, if Sam Bowie could have stayed healthy, Yao was one of those players that, look, he could do everything. Play with his back to the basket. He could face you up. And
good passer.
Yeah, great passer. And was in a great system with Van Gundy and had Tracy McGrady. They could have made a lot of noise if they could have stayed healthy.
I'm wondering, though, if you said, let me pick out one guy in the history of the game, if he had stayed healthy, who would you pick out that we would have been shocked at the results? Is there anybody that stands out?
Arvydas Sabonis, too. I forgot about him.
Yep.
If he could have stayed healthy, that would have probably be the one guy, because when he was 17, 18, 19, a lot of people compared him to the next coming of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar minus the sky hook. If he could have stayed healthy, Sabonis could have been one of the greatest centers ever to play this game.
And he came over as a 31-year-old rookie.
Right.
And still left his imprint.
You could have seen the international Sabonis. They say it was like Michael Jordan in a 7-foot frame.
Oh, wow. Which leads me to DeMarcus Cousins. There's a whole lot of talent there, Reg. What am I missing out on DeMarcus Cousins, and do you want him as a teammate?
Well, there's no denying his teammate, there's no denying his talent. This is a guy that, you know, is going to give you 25-plus points and 10-plus rebounds a night. He puts so much pressure on opposing teams because of his ability to score the basketball down low. He's added that three-point shot. But then there's the other DeMarcus, you know, the guy that, you know, I'm going to talk to you as a former player.
Okay.
I could live with it. I could live playing with DeMarcus if I felt that he was a great teammate. And I don't know if you saw the retirement video ceremony when Pop was getting choked up talking about Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
And he made an excellent point saying, thank you for allowing me to get on you. And everyone else fell in line after that, because when you can coach your best player, you can say whatever the hell you want to everyone else, because everyone's going to basically fall in line because I'm giving it to the best player. Of all the things I've read about Boogie Cousins, and we talked about, you know, what he does on the court, I've never really heard his teammates have his back. And that's one thing you heard about Dennis Rodman. His teammates loved him. That's one thing you heard about Bill Laimbeer. His teammates loved him. Even Ron Artest. I loved Ron Artest because he did all the little things. At times, did all those guys go crazy and opponents couldn't stand them? Yes, but their teammates loved them. And look, you and I were not around that team on an everyday basis. I'm only going by things I read. So I'm on the outside looking in like a lot of people that are listening and watching us right now. But I don't get the sense that teammates love being around him. And I would be okay with it if I loved him, if he was a great teammate. But things I hear about, the outburst in the locker room, going after coaches. He's had, 6 or 7 coaches over the last 2 or 3 years. To me, those are troubling signs, and I just don't hear, as teammates, them really backing Boogie Cousins. There's no denying his talent. He's going to give you the business, but he's going to give you the business, and my team is going to win, 30 games, 35 games? What is 25-plus and 10-plus rebounds? What does that get me?
Yeah, I'm sort of there with you. I wouldn't want him as a teammate, and I can't build my team around him, and it doesn't feel like he wants to be coached or he has all the answers. And I don't like the comparison with him and Rasheed Wallace. I think she just got caught up. He didn't want to be told by an official that he did something wrong. I think by all accounts, teammates love Rasheed Wallace. Am I wrong in that?
That's to my point, Theodore. Back to that. People and teammates loved Rasheed. Rasheed did all the little things. The outburst Rasheed did, at times, it would hurt the Trailblazers or the Pistons when he won a championship. But for the most part, he did all the little things that your team loves. Great locker room guy. I'm not sure DeMarcus is a great locker room guy. That's my only point. Look, until DeMarcus looks in the mirror and says, you know what, this has all been my bad.
Yep.
This has been on me. I apologize, because we're going to continue to have outbursts. What we just saw, him going off on a reporter. I mean, how many of his teammates really came over there to grab? If he was such a great teammate, I only saw 1 or 2 teammates go over there and grab him. The whole team should have been over there grabbing him.
But they also, one of his teammates apologized to the reporter on behalf of DeMarcus Cousins. So,
and that's another thing. If you're gonna put out an apology, at least apologize to the person that you offended.
Oh, I know.
Don't say I apologize to the Kings fan and the Kings family and my teammates.
Whoever was offended.
Apologize to the reporter for going off on him.
He's Reggie Miller. He's got Lakers at the Heat coming up Thursday night at 8 Eastern. Have you seen enough of the Lakers that I know they went through a bad stretch where they lost, 8 in a row, but are they going to be that kind of team the whole year where they're just going to be sort of have highlight reels and they're going to be fun and then they're going to be bad? Is that part of the learning process?
That's part of the learning process for a young team and a rookie head coach in Luke Walton. We're going to see glimpses of what the Lakers young players are going to be in the future, and they're going to take their lumps. They're figuring out ways to win ball games. And having said all that, they're only a game and a half out of that 8th spot in the Western Conference. So, it's a learning process, for the Lakers. Luke is learning, which players he can trust, which players he can roll with. They're getting great off-the-bench play from veterans like Lou Williams and Luol Deng. And the young players are playing. I mean, Larry Nance Jr., I know he went down with a knee injury last night, versus the Hornets, but I've always said, I thought he was going to be the best player for the Lakers on that draft team because of his activity at both ends of the floor. But it's a young team. You take your lumps, you learn on the fly, and, hopefully you get better in the process.
It's a different time now with athletes, and I know we like to say, well, back in our day, but you look at Christian McCaffrey and, to a lesser degree, Leonard Fournette deciding to sit out their bowl games. What do you think of that? Let's just go with McCaffrey, because Fournette has been injured. Ben Simmons didn't want to play in the NIT. He didn't want to get potentially injured. Being the number 1 pick overall. Your thoughts on McCaffrey sitting out the bowl game?
Football is such a violent sport, and every play could potentially be your last play. Unlike basketball, a lot has to happen in basketball for it to be your last play. But in football, every time you're dropping back and you're giving it to the running back, it potentially could be career-ending, knee injury. We talk about the concussions, ankles. It's such a violent sport. I have zero problems with these college athletes sitting out. To me, these idiotic bowl games, to me, the only thing that matters is the championship playoff, these top 4 teams. Now, if they want to expand that, great. But I don't understand what all these bowls are for. I really don't. I know it's supposed to be a reward for these players winning 6 bowl games or ball games and then going to a bowl game. But I have zero problem with these guys sitting out. There is so much money at the next level, and why jeopardize it in a football game where, you could lose everything? So I have no problem with it because, we've seen the resume of both those guys you mentioned on the field and what they're capable of doing. Why risk it for a payday for the school? Really, basically, that's what it is. It's a payday for the school. And, I have zero problem with that.
Well, the reason why we have all these bowl games is greed. But when an individual is, going to do the same thing and say, I'm going to do something for myself, then we have a problem with it.
Everyone gets all up in arms. Oh, my God, how can you do that? You're turning your back on your university. No, I'm not. I'm looking out for myself and my and for my family. I mean, you've seen my resume. You've seen what I've done, on the football field. Why are you judging me because I want to sit out this one game to protect my future? Really?
Well, I think running back.
If a coach comes out, and here's another thing: if his coach comes out and says, "I'm disappointed in this young man," any potential recruit that wants to go to Stanford or LSU, I'm out. I'm gone. You're going to do this to this kid because he's looking out for his future? I'm out. I've got to back the player. He has to.
And we apparently forget that coaches do the same thing when they decide to move on and leave a team before they go to a bowl game. But but these athletes don't get an opportunity to have the hammer. They have the hammer, they're using the hammer, and then we have a problem with it. And would I like to see Christian McCaffrey play one more game? Yes, selfishly. But I think this is on us, Reg. I said this yesterday. The one and done, we have a problem with the one and done because it's ruining our college basketball experience, that we want to see these guys play 3 and 4 years, that you see them and there's familiarity. There's no familiarity with college basketball anymore except for the coaches. It's our problem that we have that somehow Kentucky kids are ruining college basketball, which they're not. They're taking advantage of an opportunity to go pro, and they're using the system. Christian McCaffrey had to stay 3 years. He stayed 3 years. He decided that he's given enough. He doesn't want to have 25 more touches. He's ready to go to the NFL. I don't have a problem with that at all.
And that's what it really comes down to. People want to see him carry the ball really 25 more times. That's going to make your life that much more enjoyable. One of those carries could be the end of that young man's career. And if it did happen, would you be happy with that? What would you say then?
Well, nobody's going to. Nobody's taking up a collection. What are you going to say to
the young man if he blows out his knee?
Yeah, they're not going to say, "Hey, thank you for making my Sun Bowl a little bit better." Thank you for getting me through them,
McCaffrey. Kudos.
So big plans for the holidays there with the family. What do we got?
Oh, Santa, I'm sure hopefully will come and visit us. It's going to be a family affair. We're going to chill out.
Have you gotten a picture with Santa?
I have not. No.
Okay. Because there's always tears. There's always tears when you put the.
There was tears. I was not there for the Santa photo.
Oh.
He has, and there was. It's 4 years running, and it's 4 years running of tears. So yeah.
Well, he's a scary man when you step back and you go. I
kind of like it because I was never big on Christmas. Especially, playing basketball, we were always playing basketball tournaments during the holidays, so you kind of lose that Christmas feeling. Now that I've been retired and away from the game, Christmas is a big deal, I found out. I didn't know Christmas was this big of a deal. So my son he's not really into it. So when he does go to see, the big man in the big red suit, he's like, "Who are you? And where do you want me to sit?" I don't think so.
Hey, safe travels, Reg. Merry Christmas to you and the family, and we'll talk to you in the new year.
I appreciate it. And one last thing I want to say. I want to thank everyone for their well wishes to the Sager family. It was a wonderful celebration of life yesterday here in Atlanta. It was just great to hear all the stories from family members who just really told a fantastic life story of a man that, we cherish so much here in the Turner family. So all the well wishes, trust me, the Sager family, they've read everything, they've gotten everything. They apologize for the slow responses, but you can understand, how overwhelmed they've been with all the outpouring of love. So Thank you guys so much for doing everything. We really do appreciate it.
All right, Reg. Thank you, bud.
Appreciate it.
That's Reggie Miller, Hall of Famer.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.